Happy Halloween, fellow time travelers. And today we're going to be going to the happiest place on Earth. How many of you have remembered the ride, the Twilight Zone Tower of Terror? And who wouldn't? The Tower of Terror has been a signature ride for the Disney parks. Well, only one of them now. The ride was made in conjunction with the brand The Twilight Zone. In fact, there isn't any mention of the Hollywood Hotel inside of any of the episodes in the series. Disney specifically made a 3-minute episode to play during the walking portion of the ride, before the elevator. The ride has gone on to be a popular ride ever since it opened. And in 1997, a movie was made. This movie was a made-for-TV movie on the Wonderful World of Disney Network. And, as a Hollywood Reporter would have you believe, it's a thrill ride. So, let's sit back, take out our candy corn, throw it in the trash, and eat some real candy, and let's watch this movie. Our story begins in the iconic hotel as they are having a ball for a starlet and her caretaker, a bellhop, and a loving couple. In the distance, a little girl is spying on the star as she and the other ill-fated guests enter the elevator. And as following with the ride's lore, the group gets hit by lightning inside, which leads to a sloppy dissolve effect into an episode of The X-Files for some reason. Somewhere out there, I believe, there is Szechuan sauce. The truth is out there, everyone. The truth is out there. A doctor attempts to carve into the specimen on the table when...
Don't even think about it.
This is the niece of Buzzy Crocker, played by Kirsten Dunst. And I will attempt to refrain from any and all Spider-Man jokes in this episode. Turns out what we thought was an X-Files episode turned out to be a photo shoot for the tabloids the Men in Black usually read. And the man behind the fake is Buzzy Crocker, played by the robot-loving Steve Guttenberg from Short Circuit.
Do not grow up to be an actor.
Talking dog possessed by spirit of Mr. Ed? Frozen ghost found in freezer? How do you think this stuff up?
It's a gift. Really strange gift.
Is any of it true?
Hey, don't kid yourself. Aside from sports and obits, most legit papers are just as bogus. Truth doesn't count. Selling papers counts.
Did you ever want to write something real?
Hey look! A book on obvious foreshadowing! One Star Wars transition later, and Steve is getting into his car.
Hey, what about our deal? You gotta help me plant trees.
Don't you remember? We are the Lorax and we must speak for the trees! Steve goes to the local newspaper office and scares the crap out of the new boss. He tries to sell her on a news story and she doesn't buy it, and he goes to leave, when...
Do you remember that crummy little seafood place in Malibu where the fish kind of taste like shoes?
Yeah.
Okay, I think this is the part of the movie where the cameraman and the director just suddenly had a brain fart and just continued to shoot and they left it in the editing room. I mean, seriously, who just leaves their actors talking about how bad sushi is? Following that weird scene, Gutenberg goes home and finds an old woman sitting in a chair.
Do I know you?
No, but I know you. My name is Abigail Gregory, and you're Buzzy Crocker, and I have read all of your work.
Is this gonna turn into Disney's version of Misery? Turns out she has a story about the Tower of Terror, or the Hollywood Tower, I should say.
Because of her, Emmeline Partridge, she was...
Sally Shine's nanny. Looks like a real witch.
She was indeed a witch. It was her black magic that made Sally and the others disappear.
Black magic?
If you believe she's just projecting her own story, say I. I! Yeah, the mystery here is a bit predictable. It's standard screenwriting. If you're going to use a gun in the third act, you have to introduce it in the first. Anyways, Gutenberg doesn't believe her story initially until she says...
Buzzy, this is your chance to write a story that people have been wanting to read for 60 years. and I'm giving it to you.
Gutenberg goes down to Disney's Hollywood Studios where he walks around the attraction. One of the cool things this movie does is that they actually shut down the ride for the Tower of Terror in order to shoot in and around the ride. It's actually kind of one of the better qualities of this made-for-TV movie. Gutenberg continues to look around when another jump scare happens, this time from the caretaker Q, played by Michael McShane. He takes care of the hotel. We also find out this little bit of info.
Dewey. Spooky, huh?
What did happen?
No clue. But I'm the last living relative, man. When the mystery gets solved, I inherit the works. Cha-ching!
I believe the proper term for this is bland foreshadowing. It says it right here in the book. The two go inside of the abandoned Hollywood Tower Hotel, which is also the lobby of the ride. Q doesn't go in, so it's up to Gutenberg to venture forth. He searches around the place until he comes across a staff-only area of the hotel where he finds an old book of witchcraft. He gets back to the lobby to find that a vase that had flowers in it is now empty. Don't mind me, just checking on if the renovations are done yet. Okay, goodbye. Steve reads from the book, and like in any typical Gutenberg film, he gets into an argument with everyone. Steve wants to use Kirsten to play another character for the newspaper, but she will simply have none of it. However, a prepared Kristen approaches her mom with the one word most mothers turn into butter with.
It isn't phony. It's a cool story that people care about, and it could get Uncle Buzz back into a real newspaper. Please.
Please.
Both Kirsten and Steve head up to the hotel where they are about to shoot, where they meet Claire, obviously one of the ghosts, but to them, she is a hired actress that they hired.
Wait. The agency sent you?
What's wrong? Oh, it's the dress, right? It's too much. I knew it. I've got others. I'll go change.
No, it's not the dress. It's just you're too young. Miss Partridge, she's an old witch.
Perfect. Another two job. Too young, too old, too skinny, too fat, too everything but what you need.
Clearly this comes from a company that has in no way any strict guidelines in dressing for their own park employees. The group hears music and Steve goes to investigate in the kitchen. Steve, this is not the time to get seafood that tastes like feet. Gutenberg gets scared by Dunst. They don't hear the music, so they continue to look around, which I am sure in no way will have a scare around the corner.
It's a dummy.
Jesus Christ, Disney! You know kids watch this stuff, right? The two run out in terror and they explain what happened to them.
There was this green rain.
It was coming down.
And then the singing. There was singing.
And there was this guy with his head chopped off.
His head cut off. I'm telling you, I think my brain's gonna explode.
What are we gonna do?
I don't know. Yes, I do know. Tomorrow, we're gonna bring Jill down here from the Banner. She's got to see this for herself. This is the most incredible story in history. I can prove there were real ghosts.
Well, get in line, pal. The Ghostbusters had proven their existence 11 years prior. Steve goes back to the office to tell her about his news story.
When? Halloween, 1939. Where? The Hollywood Tower Hotel. Who? Sally Shine and 4 others. What? They all disappeared mysteriously from the elevator.
Everybody knows that story.
Wrong! Nobody knows the story because nobody's got what I got. I got the why. I got why the biggest child star in history went.
Don't come back here anymore.
Of course, she doesn't believe him and kicks him out forever. Why she looks distraught about having to do so is a bit confusing. This person has come into your office and repeatedly tells you a lot of fake news stories, and you feel sorry that he lost his job? I mean, he's the person that's wanting to sell you tabloid news. What kind of editor are you? So we cut to Abigail and Kirsten as Steve gets back home, where Abigail is still projecting her nonsense. Abigail explains that she can break the curse if they get all of the signifiers, so naturally, without question, they go ahead with the plan. They all head over to the hotel but before they can, Claire comes back. Q heads off as Steve and Claire go to the stairs and take some pictures. Kinda missing the point of your whole investigative scheme, huh? Kirsten heads inside and snoops around, finding the ledger for the hotel. She finds some glasses as the ledger moves itself back into place. Kirsten continues her snooping as ink scares her into the ghosts.
If anyone needs help, it's you.
Checking in. You're a bad girl. A very bad girl.
I think this scene warrants another one of these. So Kirsten says she wants to help him. Sally shows up and tells Kirsten about fixing the elevator to save them. Kirsten goes and grabs Steve as they go and investigate the luggage. Huh. I wonder what other movies had answers in luggages. In a haunted place. So Kirsten locates a locket as apparently the ghosts want to get drunk.
This is a joke, right?
The ghosts appear in front of our leads, and it is revealed that Claire was a ghost.
My stage name is Claire Poulet.
What a shock!
I thought maybe he could help us.
You thought he was cute.
You thought you were Tim Curry. The ghosts tell their side of the story on the night of the disappearance, and that all they wanted to do was go to a party on the top floor. Gee, if they wanted to do a party, they could have just hopped on a bus and gone to the Magic Kingdom. I hear there's a mansion over there that has about 999 happy haunts there. Maybe they'll have a party there sometime. It is revealed to our leads that Miss Partridge, the woman Abigail claimed to have been a witch, was not a real witch at all. In fact, she was just a caregiver the whole time. What a twist? Oh yeah, by the way, the newspaper editor goes to investigate Abigail and comes across the biggest evidence dump in the history of film. Oh shit, she really is a witch! Now we can get Kiki back to her home! Steve opens up the elevator shaft to find that the ghosts need to go up to the 12th floor. In order to fix it, they need to go and convince Q to work inside of the hotel. Which works about as good as you might think.
All fixable.
By who? Me? I'm a car mechanic, and a bad one. This is hard.
But you're Q. The man who can get anything. You're smart. You resourceful.
No, I'm a fake.
The newspaper editor comes by with some not so shocking news that Abigail is the missing girl's sister.
Abigail Gregory is Sally Shine's sister?
What?
I traced her back to the hospital where she has been a guest for the past, 60 years or something. Did you know that today is her birthday?
Yeah, sure, she may be responsible for the deaths of 5 people, but hell, today's her birthday. The editor tells Gutenberg that he needs to get his story out by 8 p.m. that night in order to get his job back.
Buzzy.
I'm sorry, honey.
You lied. You said you were gonna help them, but you lied. I guess the truth doesn't matter to you.
One could say the same about journalists today. The gang goes their separate ways as Abigail comes out of the closet. Later that night, Kirsten and Q go to the hotel to fix the elevator as Steve continues his writing. At the same time, Abigail shows up to try to do some more magic. While all that is going on, the ghosts partake in a little dancing. Yeah, you explain that. I mean, there's a pressing need for them to go up to the top floor by a certain time, otherwise they have to wait another year. So they just start dancing? Kirsten hears the elderly chants and approaches Abigail. The elevator gets fixed as we find out another obvious twist.
And the elevator will crash the way it was supposed to 60 years ago.
Gutenberg gets to the hotel as Kirsten switches places with Sally on the elevator. The gang goes to confront Abigail when this is said.
Sally was everybody's sweetheart. They all loved her. Even I loved her. But no one cared. Sally Shine had a big sister. No. I couldn't sing. And I couldn't dance. But it was my birthday. And no one even knew that.
This is your villain, folks. She killed 5 people. 5 people! Alright, 5 people with witchcraft. Because no one acknowledged it was her birthday. That is just as lame as a villain as the villain from Box Trolls. So it seems that history is repeating itself when the elevator gets stuck on the same floor as before as the storm looms overhead. However, Sally appears to Abigail like a literal ghost from her past and reveals that the whole party upstairs was for Abigail's birthday. So remember, kids, never throw a surprise party for a deranged sister, otherwise you and 4 other people might die in an elevator that night. They go and save Kristen as time is up and the elevators drop, just like the ride. Abigail and Sally reconcile as the spell is broken. They all head to the party on the 12th floor. The ghosts go their separate ways via cheesy effects. Steve gets his job back and his love, and Q reopens the hotel for business. And that was Disney's Tower of Terror. Why is it called a thrill ride again? This movie is a weird anomaly in the sphere of ride-based movies. It is entertaining to watch just for the cheese that comes with it, and the sets looked pretty neat, but most of the time the story is focused on some of the wrong places. The characters aren't exactly ones to get attached to, and the mystery is predictable. But the biggest problem with this movie is that it's not even in the same ballpark as what I would expect from a regular Twilight Zone episode. If you were to ask me if I was scared at all during this movie, I would have said I wasn't, and that I was more scared of the stale popcorn bucket I had next to me. Fortunately, some years later, we would get a good movie based off of the ride. I am glad I watched it again, but I wouldn't be watching it every year. I have been the Time Traveler, and this has been your nightmarish flashback. Happy Halloween, everyone, and good night. Sweet dreams.